Welcome, my dear brothers and sisters. Thank you for adjusting your time and coming. Let us start with the chanting. Om Bhadram Karne Shunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhir Yajatra Thirairangaistuštuvagum Sastanubhihi Vyashemadevahitay yadayuhu Swasti na indro vruddhashravah Swasti na pusha vishvavedah Swasti nastarksho arishtanemihi Swasti no bruhaspatir Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. For the first mantra, start with the Om. Om Ityetadaksharamidam sarvam tasyopavyakhyanam bhutam bhavad bhavishyaditi sarvam omkara eva yacchanyattrikalatitam tadapyonkara eva sarvam hetad brahma ayamatma brahma soyamatma chaturpat jagaritasthano bahishpragnaha saptanga ekona vimshati mukaha स्थूल भुग्वैश्वानरः प्रथमपादः स्वप्नस्थानोऽन्तःप्रज्ञः सप्ताङ्ग एकोनविंशतिमुखः प्रविविक्तभुक् तैजसो द्वितीयः पादः यत्र सुप्तो न कञ्चन कामं कामयते न कञ्चन स्वप्नं पश्यति तत्सुषुप्तम् सुषुप्तस्थान एकीभूत प्रज्ञानघन एवानन्दमयो आनन्दभुक्तेजो मुख प्राज्ञस्तृतीयः पादः एष सर्वेश्वरः एष सर्वज्ञः एषोऽन्तर्यामी एष योनिः सर्वस्य प्रभवाप्ययौ हि भूतानाम् नान्तःप्रज्ञं न बहिष्प्रज्ञं नोभयतःप्रज्ञं न प्रज्ञानघनं न प्रज्ञं नाप्रज्ञम् अदृश्यम् अव्यवहार्यम् अग्राह्यम् अलक्षणम् अचिन्त्यम् अव्यपदेश्यम् एकात्मप्रत्ययसारम् प्रपञ्चोपशमं शान्तं शिवम् अद्वैतं चतुर्थं मन्यन्ते स आत्मा स विज्ञेयः सोऽयमात्माध्यक्षरमोङ्कारः अधिमात्रं पादामात्रा पादाश्च पादा अकार उकारो मकार इति स्वप्नस्थानस्थैजसो द्वितीया मात्रा उत्कर्षात् उभयत्वात् उत्कर्षति ह वै ज्ञानसन्ततिं समानश्च भवति नास्य ब्रह्मकुले भवत् य एवं वेद सुषुप्तस्थानप्राज्ञः मकारस्तृतीया मात्रा मितेरपीतेर्वा विनोति ह वा इदगुं सर्वम् अपीतिश्च भवति य एवं वेद अमात्रश्चतुर्थो व्यवहार्यः प्रपञ्चोपशमः शिवः अद्वैत एवं ओङ्कार आत्मैव संविशत्यात्मनात्मानं य एवं वेद इति मुण्डोकपनिषत् समाप्ता। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. We're all familiar with these dimensions. Vedas have been preserved for 5,000 years with the special Vedic chanting technology, Pada, Akrama, Jata, and Khana. Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samveda, Atharvaveda are the four Vedas. Jnanakanda, Karmakanda, Upasanakanda are the whole essence of all Vedas. Treasure house of knowledge, Vedas. Jnanakanda is called the Uttamimamsa, which forms the Upanishads. Among thousands of Upanishads, 10 are the major. Now we are talking about the Mandukya, which is smallest, Brihadaranyaka is the biggest. Every Upanishad deals with two aspects, search for happiness, search for reality. So when we study Upanishads, we must see how these things have been built into each Upanishad. So the conclusion of the first, the science of the Vedas, is that there are two dimensions. And the body which is in a continuous flux of change, that is called the Jagat, Jagatyan, Jagat, and the unchanging entity called Self at the base of all the changing. And this also full, that's also full. Purnamada, Purnamidam. And what is the relation between the two? Purnat, Purnam, Udachyate. And in this verse, we are going to see how the Mandukya talks about the Purna there. Om etadaksharam idam sarvam tasya upakhyanam bhutam bhavad bhavishyaditi sarvam onkara eva yachanyatrikalaatitam tadapi onkara eva. Om, all that exists is Om as pure consciousness. And creation is that which goes on changing, which is bound by space, time, and causation. Even that is Om. Iti etat aksharam idam sarvam Om. Akshara is all this. How can it be? In modern science, we have understood physics. Energy is at all aspects of matter. Entire physical world is nothing but energy. And that which is beyond gross matter is also energy. In simpler example, we have waves, small waves, big waves, everything from the outside thing, and the whole ocean, water to all waves, gold to all golden ornaments. So is home to all the worlds, living and the non-living, known and the unknown, kinetic and the potential energy, Vyakta and Avyakta. So the Jagat is governed by past, present, and future. That is Om. All that is in the realm of space-time causation, that is entire Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnananandamaya koshas. Yacha Anyatrikalaathitam, Tadapi Omkara eva. What is beyond space-time and causation, even beyond the world of Avyakta, that unmanifested, the potential form called Avyakta, that is also called Ishvara. That is the Anandamaya kosha. That also is Om. Om is the letter, basic fabric of all creation. Creation is past, present, future. And that which is beyond also is Om, the unchanging dimension, you are called, as the ultimate reality. Having said that, which is the conclusion of the search for reality. It further explains the dimensions of connection between the macro and the microcosm. Sarvam hetad brahma ayamatma brahma soyamatma chaturpat. So here the concept of Vyashti and Samashti comes into picture. Microcosm and macrocosm. Like the wave and the ocean. In the entire Jagat, we have two dimensions. So all this is Brahma. Sarvagam hetad Brahma. Ayam Atma pi Brahma. This self is Brahman. All this is Brahman. That is Jivatma and Paramatma. Individual Jiva, Vyashti, and Paramatma is the whole creation, macrocosm, Samashti, or the same. So, what is water to all small or big waves in an ocean, or even a drop, is water. It's the whole basis of Advaita philosophy. So, all these five koshas that we have is called the Jagat, it's the Samashti, the five fields of universe. Electromagnetic field, bioplasmic field, astral field, the intellectual field, and the bliss field. All these fields are in continual reaction. That's at the Samashti level. And at the individual level, Vyashti level, you got the body, physical body, the pranic body, the mind body, the Vijnanamaya kosha, the information body, and the bliss body. So we have the micro and the macrocosm, Vyashti and the Samashti. And Brahman and Jiva essentially are same. Though there are two different things it looks, we know that everything is nothing but Om, it is nothing but same. So this is what we found in physical world. Matter and energy we thought are two distinct entities, but we understood that they are same. Similarly, we thought Samashti and Vyashti are different, and it has been mentioned and told that everything is nothing but Om. Having said that, how do we get to this dimension? That is the prakriya. The four dimensions, which includes avasthatraya and beyond. We all undergo these three dimensions, Jagra, Swapna, and Sushupti. That the wakeful, that the sthul or the gross, Swapna, the dream, Sukshma, Sushupti is the deep sleep, or the Karana, or the causal. That which is beyond is all pervading Brahman. Is what has been told in the third. It starts with one by one. First is wakeful field. Jagaristanaha bahishpragnaha saptangaha ekona vimshati mukaha sthulabhuk vaishwanara prathamapadaha. Sthulabhuk. That is the one that's talked about. The first leg or the first dimension of Om is Vaishwanara. It's featured by grossness. Sthulabhuk. The dimension of Annamaya Kosha, the physical world. Consciousness featured by Nama and Rupa. This is put forth as Vyashti and Samashti. Vyashti the individual and Samashti. Take a simple example. I am looking at this laptop. I am the seer and laptop is the seen. That's called Pramata and Prameya. And they are two different, Vyashti and Samashti. Samashti belongs to the entire macrocosm dimension. And we have the interaction through the Tripiti that goes on. So in the Vaita philosophy, the two things are different, seen and the seer. Vishwa is featured by external awareness. That is Vyashti, individual. It has 19 mouths. Eko na vimshati. Vimshati is 20. Eko na vimshati is 19. Mukaha. 19 mouths, says. What are they? Through which we perceive the world. 5 gnanendriyas, 5 karmendriyas, 5 prana, and 4 antarindriyas. The 5 bodies of consciousness we talked about. And what are those 19 mouths, 5 gnanendriyas? What are they? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, that is taste, dimension of the tongue, and the skin, the touch. Then the 5 karmendriyas, vakpani, pado, payu, upastha. Tongue. Now this speech aspect of it, walk. And the hands and the legs, excretory and reproductive organs. They form the 5 karmendriyas. And then we have the 5 pranas. Prana, apana, samana, udana, vyana. And then we have the 4 antarindriyas, internal organs which are there. Mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. The mind, intellect, memory, and ego, I notion. These form the 19 mouths, which also known the experiencers, Vaishwanara. So the physical world is the Vaishwanara. The Samashti is outside. What are they? They are the 5 elements. The Samashti is made of the Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, and Prithvi. Just like in modern science, the whole physical world is made out of molecules, atoms, protons, neutrons, fundamental particles. So the whole process of the Samashti getting created starts with Akasha, the space. Akashad Vayuhu, Vayor Agnihi, Agnerapaha, Adbhyak Prithvi. So this is created by Ishvara consciousness. The physical world is named as Virat. Samashti is Vaishwanara. In the Chandogya Upanishad, the Saptanga had been mentioned. What are the Saptanga of Ishvara? That the Samashti, that the Vaishwanara, the 7 limbs. Upper world, heaven, as the head. Surya, the eyes. The total Vayu, that is the Vayu, the wind. The mouth is the fire principle. And body of Virat Akasha. The bladder is the water storing organ, ocean. And Prithvi is the earth. These are the dimensions that we have in the Samashti. Then, with the 7 limbs as mentioned above, heaven as the head, sun as the eye, air through the nose as the vital force, stomach as the space, Akasha, bladder as the water, and the 2 feet as the earth. So, the 7 limbs have been mentioned here. Heaven, fire with light, Agni, Prana, the air, middle part space, water, ocean, and earth. Then, therefore, we have the Vyashti and the Samashti, featured by this Sthula Bhuk, enjoying the gross objects of senses, spread out the 5 elements. So, this has been the picture presented to us in the Upanishad, Saptanga and Ekonomishati Vikas. Similarly, in the modern times, we have complete knowledge about anatomy of our body, from womb to full growth of the body. So, in our ancient things, how did they get this complete knowledge base? This is done by what is called as Sayama, Trayam Ekatra Sayamaha. And when it's done on the Nabhi Chakra, you get the complete knowledge of the Kaya Vyuha. That's how they were able to get according to Patanjali. So according to medical science, we know that basic chemicals, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, calcium, potassium, the dimension, they all come together with the prana coming from the genes. Then we have the DNA, RNA molecule, the tissue, the cells, the organ system. It goes on. And that's the medical perspective we have. And we study them in the 7 systems, which you are all familiar. And then the entire thing is governed by the brain. That is the seat for the antarindriyas, we can say. Mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. Brain, the controller. All the 19 aspects mentioned above has been found in the brain, the control of things. In the four lobes that we have, the frontal, the parietal, temporal, and the occipital lobe. No? This is the frontal and the side view, we can see that. The lateral view and the superior view is beautifully brought out here. Each one of them you can see the four lobes. And in the front lobe, we have the left and the right brain. Each one of them contain this aspect. And left brain is the analytical brain. The language, mathematics, logic, reading, writing, everything comes in here. Whereas in the right brain, we have personality, creativity, music, art, dreams, intuition will come here at the dimension. And the memory, our brain memory is all in the cerebral cortex, is our memory storage area. And the thalamus and the hippocampus have been put forth there. How does a memory work? Memory is not a thing, it's a process. It can get better or worse depending on use. Hippocampus is the part of the brain that is involved in memory formation, organization, and storage, as well as spatial navigation. It is very important in forming new memories, especially episodic memories. Hippocampus acts as a memory sorter by sending memories out to the different appropriate part of the cerebral hemisphere. The basal ganglia is responsible for the formation of motor and implicit memory, all that we saw last time. And therefore, the left brain functions and right brain functions have been put forth. You have to connect here. So the entire left brain functions linear, analytic thought, digital things, logical, objective, everything comes up here. Whereas the right brain is the aspect of intuition, art and music, emotions, dream, everything comes in the right lobe of the brain. What about ahankara? The I consciousness, mana, buddhi, chitta, then ahankara. Ahankara, recently scientists have been able to identify a small part inside the frontal portion of the brain at the seat of ego, consciousness, and sense of self. And that is the anterior cingulate cortex, ACC, and fronto-insular cortex, FIC. FIC lies in the sense of ego or awareness, it has been found. So the picture is shown here for you. So you can see in the frontal lobe, inside you have the anterior cingulate cortex. That is the eye. Then we have been able to measure the activities of the brain by electroencephalogram, which all of you are familiar. So normally in the wakeful phase, we have the mind, random mind going around, and that has been designated as the beta waves. The frequency is from 12 to 19 hertz, and the amplitude is small. So 12 waves per second to 19 waves per second at the hertz. But when you start meditating, when the mind becomes calm, then the alpha waves emerge, which have higher frequency, a lower frequency, and higher amplitude, the bigger amplitude. That is the calm, wakeful phase. And there were very special pattern, and you can see there is the increased thing and there is decreased thing. Again, it increases waves and then comes down. It goes on and down. This is the feature. And this is the dimension that happens in the calm, wakeful phase. Can we say, in a sense, that there is the stimulation and relaxation taking place in the meditation? Laye sambodhayet vikshiptam shamayet. You say, whether this is incorporated in the alpha waves, one could look into it. Then with that we come to the fourth mantra, which talks about the swapna. Last time we discussed about it. Swapnasthananta pragnaha saptanga ekona vimshati mukaha pravivakta bhuktayajaso dvitiya padaha. Swapnasthanaha antapragnaha saptangaha ekona vimshati mukaha pravivikta bhuk taidasaha dvitiya padaha. So the difference between wakeful and the dream state is brought forth here. So the wakeful phase is the Vaishwanara, Vishwa. Here it's called Taijasa. And the difference is we have the Antapragna, that is the internal perceptions. The consciousness is internalized in that sense. And it is having again the 7 limbs and 19 mouths, same as the Jagrat. What are the 7 limbs and the 19 faces? Same as the Jagrat ones. But they are all subtle ones. Internalized consciousness. So here, the 7 limbs of Sapta Samashti, they are all Sukshma Prapancha. In the wakeful thing, we have the Jagrat, in which the Samashti is outside, that is the macrocosm, and we don't have control and mastery about that. That is created by the cosmic mind. Whereas in dream, we create. So our mind creates this entire world. That is the Supra Prapancha, therefore is the Sukshma. And the presiding deity is Hiranyagarbha. And the Vyashti is Taijasa, and the Samashti is called Hiranyagarbha. Bhokta is also Sukshma. In wakeful phase, it is the Sthula Bhuk. Here it is Prabhuvikta Bhuk. So we have the Samashti is the Hiranyagarbha, and Vasanamaya Panchabhutas. The 5 elements of Swapna are created by the mind here. That's the main difference that we have seen. What happened? ಬರ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ? So, the five elements of swapna is created by the mind. It's essentially in the Manomaya Kosha, the subtle world. The subtle world is called Hiranyagarbha. So, Samashti, just as in the Jagrat, is also Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apahan, Prithvi. And but these are the subtle ones compared to the gross ones. So Vyashti is Taijasa and 17 mouths of Vyashti, same as Jagrat, was subtle dream body projected by eye consciousness. What are these 19 mouths which we saw in the Jagrat? Same as that. 5 Gnanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, 5 Pranas, and 4 Antarindriyas. Same as that. So, here also we have the Pramata and the Prameya, as in the wakeful phase. We are seeing the world outside and we are interacting with that, and the outside world is the Samashti called the Prameya, and the seer is the Pramata, just as in wakeful phase that we saw. And in our modern science, we call it as the REM sleep, random eye movement sleep. So when you are dreaming, you can see your eyes continuously moving. Often there could be snoring, etc. How does our brain know to sleep? The brain orchestrates the daily sleep-wakeful cycle by responding to external cues such as sunlight and the body's own rhythms. Levels of hormones rise and fall in key parts of the brain to generate sleepiness and wakefulness. These fluctuations of hormones differ in brains of different ages. Scientists are unsure about why we need sleep, although it plays a vital role in memory storage and information processing. So when you look at the brain, you can see the prefrontal cortex, the hypothalamus, hippocampus, the thalamus, the cerebellum, amygdala, each having the different functions which we mentioned earlier. The five major characteristics of dream I just mentioned last time. Normally, dreams feature intense emotions. They are frequently disorganized and illogical. Strange dream content is accepted without question. People often experience bizarre sensations. Dreams are difficult to remember. One of the major characteristics of dreams is that the emotions experienced in dreams can be intense, painful, and acute. Normally, people report dreaming about deeply embarrassing situations like being made or using the bathroom in public, or profoundly terrifying events such as being chased by an attacker, like a lion chasing you, a tiger chasing you. In some instances, these emotions can become so intense that they interrupt the dream or cause the dreamer to wake abruptly. Somnambulism. And people get up and walk and do all the activities and come back and sleep. They don't know whether they have done that. Dreams are full of discontinuities, ambiguities, and inconsistency. Sometimes these things can lead to downright bizarre dream content. One of the hallmarks of dreams is that they often make no sense and do not observe any natural laws involving time, space, or people. Illogical dream content like you are flying and the time travel, you are here, next moment you are somewhere else, talking to animals, loved ones, and so on and so forth. The odd events and the content that occur in dreams are typically accepted without question. The unquestioning acceptance of dream content is due to the strength of our internally generated emotions and perceptions. Within the dream, these strange and illogical events, perceptions, and objects are not seen as being out of place. Yeah, we accept that. Strange sensory experiences take place often. Sensation of suddenly falling, an inability to move quickly, unable to control body movements, or such few experiences. When memory seems to be intensified with the context of the dream, access to information contained within the dream diminishes rapidly once the dreamer wakes. That's why I don't remember the dreams. Dream researchers estimate that approximately 95% of all dreams are forgotten entirely upon awakening. That is found. But sometimes we see that this bizarre or illogical things can lead to inventions. So this is called as the rapid eye movement sleep. When you are lying down and sleeping, particularly when you are having dream, your eye will be continuously moving, rapid eye movement. And this can be detected by oculogram. In our polysomnography, we can detect and record the same. EEG records the brain waves. Electrooculogram, EOG, the eye movements. Electromyogram is the one that what happens to muscles at that time. These are the three major things which are used to measure our sleep. A normal sleep onset starts just like in the wakeful phase, EEG, in the phase. And slowly you see that the EEG is shaping down with smaller and smaller amplitude. When you have an EOG, electrooculogram, putting your sensor on the eyelid, initially is normal, that is the deep sleep. Then when the REM sleep comes, you can see clearly much bigger waves. What happens in the muscle tone? Muscle tone is maintained but reduced, goes on reducing. In the region of the deep dream state, it comes to. The sleep onset, you can see and have been studied in great detail. Rapid eye movements indicative of the REM sleep, you can see that. So EMG and clear things, motor inhibition and EMG suppression typical of REM sleep. So the electromyogram shows your muscles. Muscle tone is reduced drastically. That's what happens in dream state has been understood. This is called tejas. Brain waves in Jagrat, Sushupti and Swapna are compared here. You can see. In the Jagrat, we have the beta waves and the alpha waves, whereas here you can see the non-REM sleep or the deep sleep, which we are going to talk about. The REM sleep, you can see the dimensions. With that, today we go to mantra 5, talking about Sushupti. Yatra supto na kanchana kamam kamayate na kanchana swapnam pashyati सुषुप्तस्थान एकीभूतः प्रज्ञानघनः एवानन्दमयः हि आनन्दभुक् चेतोमुखप्राज्ञस्तृतीयः पादः यत्र सुप्तः न कंचन कामं कामयते न कंचन स्वप्नं पश्यति तत् सुषुप्तम् सुषुप्ति has been defined where the sleeper does not desire any enjoyable thing. That means he is not in the Jagrat world. He is not in the wakeful phase. And Swapnam na pashyati. He is not keeping dream. So this is the third quarter, and this is known as the pragna. And pragna, we have the Vaishwanara, Tejasa, and then pragna. The pragna is deep sleep as a sphere. in whom everything becomes undifferentiated. It is a mass of mere consciousness, which abounds in bliss, which is surely an enjoyer of bliss, and who is the doorway to the experience of dream and wakeful state. So in Sushupti, no desiring of the external object, no dreaming. It's unified frozen consciousness, the unmanifest, Nidra and the memory store. Bliss embodied, that's called as the causal state. It's called pragna. So Sushupta sthana, the third aspect of consciousness is the sleep consciousness. You have the Jagrat consciousness, Swapna consciousness, and the Sushupti consciousness. So Jagrat is experiencing the external object, Jagrat consciousness. Swapna is pramata prameya interaction of the subtle prapancha created by mind and vasanas. That's called the dream consciousness. Now, Sushupti is not Jagrat because there is no desiring of external object. The kamam kamayati. We do not experience and therefore not desiring. Not that we are relieved of all desires. Desires are there in the potential form, in the frozen form. It is not Swapna, nor are we experiencing internal object. Deep sleep is essentially dreamless sleep, which we know. We call it sound sleep, featured often by snoring. So what characterizes this is rid of tripity. The seer, seen, and the process of seeing, which forms the key essence of wakeful phase and the dream phase, is now absent here. The tripity merges together. This is the undifferentiated consciousness. The pramata and prameya are undifferentiated. The seer and the seen and the process of seeing which happens in Jagrat and Swapna are frozen now into this thing. So it is called as the Eki Bhuta. Sushuptasthanaha Eki Bhuta. The sleep consciousness is Karanatma. It is the causal state from where you have the Swapna and the Jagrat. All differentiations of object have vanished, undifferentiated mass. But let us be clear, merger is not vanishing, but going to the potential form. So when we sleep, all our samskaras, everything is frozen, it is there in the seed form. Bija nidrayata pragna, as Shankara says. Once objects are not differentiated, even the cognitions is also become undifferentiated. So everything is in the frozen form. It is a pragnana ghana. The sleep consciousness, karanatma. All differentiations have vanished and it is the pragnana ghana. That is, it is a mass of consciousness, merger of cognitions. Watch cognition of clock in Jagrat and dream as projection of its vasana. Vyashti and samashti cognitions are avyakta. As many as there are cognitions external and inner as nama and rupa, they all are resolved here. It's called Anandamaya Kosha. It is full of saturated. Individual nama rupa is causing. I am not individual. The limitation of joy is transcendental. Limitlessness is martyam. Yo vai bhuma tat sukam. Anandamaya is temporary and Ananda Swarupa is permanent. That Ananda Swarupa is ultimate reality, a pure consciousness. Here it is Anandamaya. It is frozen of the Ananda. Therefore, Ananda Swarupa and Anandamaya are different. And Ananda Swarupa is the original state, pure consciousness. The second point is I have an individuality and division as duality. That is subject-object differentiations are there, tripity, experience in the savikalpa avastha, in our Jagrat, Sushupti, and even Samadhi of Vichara Vitarka, Savikalpa Samadhi. Wherever there is a differentiation, there is limitation and called as the samsara. In Sushupti and Savikalpa and Nirvikalpa Samadhi, divisionless is common. Divisionless in Samadhi and sleep are different. This state is temporary. So Ananda is also temporary and limited. So it is Ananda Maya and not Ananda Swarupa, as I said. Turiya, I'm always in the Nirvikalpa. Ananda Swarupa is permanent. When mind is resolved, gone to the potential form, it is experiencer through Karana Sharira. Ananda Bhuk. So we have the Stola Bhuk, the Pravaiva Bhuk, and Ananda Bhuk. In the Jagrat, it is the Indriyas are interacting with the sense objects and you get the joy. In the dream state, we have the Pravivikta Bhuk. Again, the subtle Indriyas interact with the subtle objects and get the Ananda. But here, the Ananda Bhuk is freezing together. That is, difference is when I experience with mind, I know I am experiencing. I am aware of the registration. In Sushupti, you are not aware at the time of Sushupti as the registration is going on internally. After waking up, we say that we slept very well. The Ananda Bhuk is registering the Ananda sounds deep. For example, to make a resolve that tomorrow I have to get up very early in the morning. You had a very good sleep and sound sleep and Sushupti. But before the alarm rings already, you wake up. There is a clocking mechanism that takes place in the Sushupti. Therefore, registration is going on, but we are not aware of the registration as it happens in our Jagrat and Sopra. That's the main thing. Yes. Prakarstena agnaha pragnaha. That's how the word pragna comes. Prakarshena agnaha. Totally blissfully ignorant, in a sense. That is the meaning. Agna is ignorance. Pragnaha is prakarshena agnaha. The second meaning is, from Samashti viewpoint, Ishvara is all knowledge. From Vesti, we have to go to Samashti through various samadhis and samyamas. So, from the individual viewpoint, there is the ignorance frozen there. From the Samashti viewpoint, Ishvara is all knowledge. That's the main thing. So, with that, we come tomorrow for analysis of happiness and how the Ananda has been talked about in our ancient texts. We are going to take it tomorrow in our next session, next Saturday. Same time, 8:30 to 9:30. We have changed the timings and thank you very much for this thing. So some questions have come. Thank you very much. No. Why is Mukaha equated to mouth and not faces in the explanation of Ekona Vimshati Mukaha? Because they are the perceivers. I may have the face. In the face, you are not experiencing. Mukha has to be there, put it as mouth. Mouth means through which you get the information. For eyes, the information goes through the eyes. From the sound, it goes to the ears. Therefore, these are called as the mouths through which the experience takes place. Therefore, they are called as mouths rather than faces. Normally, as you rightly say, mukha is translated as the face. But here, it is a technical term used to show it as the mukha or the mouth. How does the memories, jnana, samskaras, go along with sukshma sharira, non-physical, from one life to another? Normally, when we die, all our samskaras are stored in manomaya kosha, vijnana, and annamaya koshas. And when the body goes away, the annamaya kosha goes away. For some time, the pranamaya kosha is there, then that also will go away. Then the remaining three will be there. That is manomaya, vijnana, and anandamaya koshas. So all our samskaras, all our karmas, that is the sanchita karma, everything is available there. When the samskaras which are there, the superficial samskaras are exhausted. If you have done some good acts, you are enjoying that in this thing. When you have done some bad acts, you are suffering there. That the heaven and the hell talked about. And we have the experience of this in our dream state. When you get some weird dreams, very tiring dreams, and causing a lot of problems and pain and misery, you have that pain. And similarly, we have dreams in which very, very, very happy and you'll be enjoying. This can be equated to the heaven and the hell in that sense. Therefore, this all goes on. Just like in the dream, once this is completed, then you come back to your Sushupti and back to the Jagrat world. Similarly, when we die also, it will be a bigger circle. In our normal day-to-day thing, it goes on for half a day and then come back. Maybe 12 hours or 8 hours or 6 hours of sleep. Then you come back to Jagrat. And whereas in this thing, 100 years here, maybe another several years. It also depends on how much of your samskaras play around. Just like in a dream can be a short dream for maybe half an hour or 1 hour, or it could be 2 hours, it could be 3 hours when you come back. Similarly, depending on the samskaras, this can be much longer or it could be shorter. It could be just 1 year, or it could be 5 years, it could be even 100 years. That depends. That's how you come back. Therefore, all the samskaras, your personality traits, are embedded in the Manomaya Vijnana Anandamaya koshas, and they come back when we take birth again. And that shows up as the prarabdha karma, that shows up as in the dimension. Good question, Shyam. Then Pradyumna, we have, why is Swarupa called Tejasa? Swapna is called Tejasa when the energy spent is less than that of Jagrat. Tejasa is the shine of the mind, we can say, in the sense. So, it is not that Tejasa should have more energy. It can be subtle energy. We can call it as the Swapna energy. It can be a subtle energy called the mind energy, we can say. So, therefore, in the Jagrat, it's grosser. Therefore, the energy is also gross. And compared to that, the Tejasa, that is the Swapna, is subtle energy in these things. And therefore, energy, the thing that we normally has a definite definition in the physical world. That is energy. And the same word energy cannot be used at the mind level, prana level, mind level, emotional, intellectual level. Therefore, we can add on an adjective saying that pranic energy, the mind energy, emotional energy, intellectual energy, and so on. And here, the Sapta Sharira is Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya Kosha. The entire thing comes under the subtle thing. We can call it as subtle energy. And subtle energy is having lower and lower and lower frequencies and higher amplitudes. When you look at the entire electromagnetic spectrum, you come from this end, the matter, then gamma rays, the ultraviolet rays, then the violet rays, then Vibgayar, and from the red you come to infrared, then the radio waves in which you have the short waves, short range, medium range, and the long waves in which the amplitude is increasing more and more, frequency is decreasing. And you come to the field, essentially. And this is the whole spectrum that we have in the physical world. And you go further into this thing, then the dimensions of the prana starts coming into picture, and the pranic field. And then you have the mind field. And these fields just go on. But all these things are interrelated with one another. This is the whole dimension that is here. Therefore, in Swapna called Tejas, it doesn't mean that it has a higher energy in our normal terminology. Shamji again, the brain is considered to be a physical thing. The mind is in every cell, including zygote. Some recent studies seem to say memory is not just stored in the brain, but also in the heart cells, muscles. You are correct. Normally, the brain has been considered as the seat for the memory. But as our understanding starts increasing, and as you rightly say, the memory is very much available in every cell, the zygote. For example, a nerve cell, when it replicates, it brings up a nerve cell and not a muscle cell. Why? The entire thing has been stored there. That is in the causal state dimension. So therefore, you're right that cell is not only in the brain, but in every cell in the body, every DNA or any molecules, and that is the dimension that is talked about. But in the linear model, everything from the brain, the entire thing is controlled by these things. But according to our Shastras, it is essentially a quantum model, we can say. That all these koshas are there at every level, in the microcosm and the macrocosm, Vyashti and the Samashti. Every cell, every DNA, RNA molecules also have the 5 dimensions. That the Sturatva, the Sukshma, and the Karana dimensions. All these things are available and they are all in interaction with one another. That is the quantum model that medical science has to start moving. This is what Dr. Nagaratna and we are all trying to bring about a new dimension of the Panchakosha at every level. Therefore, what you say, the memory is there, intelligence is there, and the I notion also is there, even in the cell, in the zygote, even in the DNA, RNA molecules. That the Panchakosha dimensions are there. Thank you. Pradyumna, very nice. No? Does that mean that every person experiences Anandamaya Kosha during the Sushupti? Yes. Every one of us, we have the mind getting into the deep sleep. When we sleep, first you get into the Sushupti, then come to the dream state, again go to the Sushupti, this cycles until we come back from the Sushupti back to the wakeful phase. That's why the Sushupti is considered as the yoni, from where the Swapna comes, then the Jagrat comes. Initially, when you just go to sleep, from wakeful thing, you enter into Sushupti. Then in the Sushupti, you get a dream. That is the Swapna. And from Sushupti, again go to Sushupti. From Swapna to Sushupti, Sushupti to Swapna. It goes on, 2, 3, 4, 5 cycles. And then from the Sushupti, you wake up in the morning. So therefore, Sushupti is considered to be the causal state. From there, the Swapna comes and the wakeful phase also comes up. The next Satish is asking, what is Turiya? That which is beyond the three. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, and beyond that is Chaturtham. That is beyond space, time, causation. All these three, that is Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, are governed and dealt with by the consciousness. And that is the entire world called Jagat. In Taittiriya, it is further developed into 5 koshas which we have been talking. Annamaya and Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnana can be put as the Sukshma. And then the Anandamaya kosha is the Karana. Stula, Sukshma, and Karana. The gross, subtle, and the causal stage. Therefore, the entire dimension, the entire creation is made out of these 5 layers or 5 bodies individually. And beyond that is the pure consciousness, which is infinite power, infinite knowledge, infinite freedom, infinite bliss. And that is our original state. And that is called Turiya in these things. Thank you, Sham. Gurpreet, can we say Sushupti can be proven by scientific tools, and as there is a quantum jump from Sushupti state to Turiya state, and being in Sushupti means the momentum is built or established and in motion ready to take a leap to Turiya regardless of interested practice or not. Actually, in the Anandamaya Kosha, Sushupti is the grossest or the dimensions which are not ultimate. There is a lot of our bija or the karmas are very much there in the Sushupti. Whatever karmas we have, whatever personality trait that we have, everything is contained in the Sushupti. And when you come back, all those things reappear in our wakeful phase. But from that, when you jump, a quantum jump, when you move from this, you get into the samadhi. And samadhi is also still in the Anandamaya Kosha. But the ananda increases in samadhi much higher than sleep. And it is known that when you have good sleep, you get about 9% rest, as we measured today. But when you get into the cyclic meditation, a deeper silence, not even the samadhi, you get 32% rest, as we have shown. When you go into the samadhi, the happiness further increases. So this is the measure that have been talked about in Taittiriya, in the Ananda Mimamsa, in the Sushupti. When you go from one level to the next level, next level, there you are going to increase the happiness 100 times more, 100 times more, 100 times more. It goes on up to the Brahma, which is 10 to the power of 20 times. Still, it is in the Anandamaya Kosha. So it is not at the pure thing. And ultimately, you cross the complete things and you go into the Kaivalya, that is the ultimate reality. Therefore, you do not jump into the Turiya at all. All the things that we are doing still is in the Sushupti phase with the different samadhis at best and having higher and higher level of bliss that we get. And once we get into Turiya, there is no return. Na punaravartate iti, it is said. Then it can happen when you have complete purification of tamas, rajas and sattva, and all your karmas, sanchita karma, prarabdha karma, agara karma, completely they are completely purified. And you completely go beyond all these karma samskaras, karmas, you go out. Then only you go into the higher state of this thing. And that turiya is also the dimension that has been talked about. I'll finish this, come to you.
Regarding the same point, I had a question.
Hmm?
Same point, I had a question. How do we know that we are ready to enter Turiya sthiti? From Sushupti to Turiya, are we ready to jump into that Turiya sthiti?
Unless your system is completely purified.
It happens on its own, or do we have to make conscious?
You have to do that. We have to go on doing that. But if you are born with your previous janma, for example, Sukha or Vyasa Maharshi or other people, they had so purity. When they said, okay, let me sit in silence, completely the mind was silent. Ramana Maharshi stayed for days and years together in that silence. That is a tremendous purification. Even that also is not the ultimate. So you should be able to stay in the silence completely. That is the total purification. Therefore, we all have to see that our purification should take place and move from one Sushupti to the Samadhi to the higher Samadhi. That's why Patanjali distinguishes Vichara, Vitarka, Ananda, Asmita, Anugamat, Sampragnataha, Tadanniha, Sampragnata. Sampragnat Samadhi, then a Sampragnat Samadhi. That goes on developing more and more in this dimension. So it's a long journey, and through number of such lives we go on doing it, and then we get into the final thing. Pradyumna, before that do we have 3 stages whenever we go to sleep, or even if sleep but stay in one level anyway to assess it? Thanks so much. So we all have 3 stages, Jagrata, Swapna, Sushupti, and whenever we go to sleep, then we have the frozen consciousness. It's in the form of a seed. You take a mango seed, it contains all the features of a mango. What should be the tree, what should be the height, what should be the leaf, what should be the taste, everything has been coded there. So that's why it's called the Bijanidra pragna. That happens. Then when you come out, it comes to the Vijnanamaya Kosha and others, it will start manifesting. Pradyumna is asking question. Our scientific thinking says that we see only when light is reflected. But in dream state, we still see without light. Is this a proof in itself that there are dimensions beyond the physical? No. So, in our dream state, according to this, our mind or the consciousness has created, the dream consciousness has created the world itself. And the world outside in the gross world is created not by our mind, not by our Vyashti mind, by the Samashti mind. That's called the cosmic consciousness. Whereas in the Swapna, our mind creates, the Vyashti mind creates the entire world. And the world that we see there is also the Samashti, and the Samashti is created by our mind, our dream consciousness. And there also I have the 5 elements. Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi, and therefore you see the light and you see the water. All these things do happen in the dream world. And in the currency of the dream, when we're in the dream, we don't say it's all unreal. When you come out of the dream, then you say, oh, it was all unreal. But in the dream is as real as this Jagrat world. That's the point that we had to do. That is the Samashti and the Vesti dimension. Therefore, the Upanishad says it's the same, except it's the Pravivikta Bhuk. No? Follow-on question. Curious to know whether blind people still see. Yes, yes, certainly. All blind people also will have a lot of dreams, and you can put it on oculogram and then it's sticky. No? Similarly, another question related is one person asked me that mentally retarded children, the mind is not working. That means have they reached a very high level of purity or almost the Turiya state? No. What we have found in Parisomnika research is the mentally retarded children, they do not go even to the deep sleep of the delta waves also do not occur. There is continuous activity at the beta and the alpha and the theta and this thing, and never into the delta wave also it comes up. Therefore, mental retardation is an inability. It is a tamasic state. In the Stula Vihar, Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva, they are in the tamasic state, an inability to rise higher. That is the mental retardation, the problem. Therefore, we have to very clearly understand between the tamas and the sattva. The silence of the sattva is far, far, far superior than the silence of tamas. So don't equate tamasic silence with the sattvic silence. Similarly, the samadhi silence is much higher, with higher bliss, higher knowledge, higher power, higher freedom. But in tamas, it is the least, and it is this thing. That has to be put. Very good question.
I have a question. Like now there is a training program for the kids where they will close the eyes and they will train like all the activities, even recognizing the color, everything they can do it by closing their eyes. How is that going? If that was like they could see without closing their eyes, then why we have this eyes?
You are talking about somnography, somnambulism.
Now some training programs what I've seen, they close the eyes and they will train the kids. They can do all the activities by closing the eyes. So how do they do that? If that was the case, then why do we leave the eyes? Without seeing that they are doing things, then why do we leave
This is
the
what happens in sleep, what is called as somnambulism. Some people are lying down and they have the dream and then come to Sushupti, then they wake up, which I was showing you in this thing. And they walk and do all the activities. I know some people who are horse riders, they go onto the horse, open the horse, and then sit on this thing and do everything, and they come back. But they don't know what they have done. It's called somnambulism. And people see and do everything, they interact, other things there, that is going on. Then this is the subtle thing manifesting as the gross wakeful indriyas. The subtle indriyas which are there are projecting themselves as the gross indriyas, and this is known there, this aspect. In the wakeful thing, we are cognizing, this is there, and we are completely in the wakeful phase, we are not in the dream phase. In the dream, somnambulism, this dream state consciousness will show up there. This is what happens in Adhi, becomes a Vyadhi. Monomaya kosha Vya Adhi shows up in the body as Vyadhi. There, the imbalances of the mind has grossified itself into the physical body, showing as imbalances in the NCDs. And that is the one thing that happens. Therefore, somnambulism is a very wonderful phenomena, and that brings a lot of insights into how there can be interaction. There, all these consciousness are in continual interaction. When the interactions become very strong, it becomes gross. Therefore, when Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi, when it comes to Prithvi, there is a grossification that takes place. So in science also we have found when the energy goes on increasing more and more, increasing frequency, then it becomes matter. Grossification takes up with the high energy thing. So when the dream state becomes intense emotional thing, then it shows up in the physical dimension. It brings in certain amount of wakefulness, not complete wakefulness. When you complete wake up, this complete wakefulness comes and this is forgotten. That is the main difference between somnambulism and wakefulness. Very good question.
That is how the yogis are like Rishis. Like previously only they used to visualize what is universe, how the universe looks like, or how is it.
Rishis, we go into the higher level of samadhi. There it is not an inability that is called somnambulism. It's a complete freedom. They can see three things. And they have the complete dimension, the samadhi state, the dimension you can see everything. And doing the samyama and others according to Patanjali, you can get all the knowledge, that dimension. Samadhi is much higher state, whereas in somnambulism, the dream projects itself because of its condensation. Whereas in the rishis and other things, we have talking about the samadhi, there it's a much, much higher state. This is more akin to tamas with higher tamas dimension coming up in dream. Whereas it's the sattva dimension, as I told. The silence of tamas should not be equated to the silence of the sattva. Sattvic silence is much, much higher, superior. Very good. Okay. Thank you all very much for your nice comments. Thank you. Namaste to all of you. So you close with today. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschet dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll meet next Saturday, 8:30. Thank you all very much. So,
Thank you, Guruji.
see you again.
Dhanyawad Guruji.
Thank you.
So, then
Thank you.
Girija is there. Thank you, Vipita.
Thank you, Guruji.
Guru, always is regular. Thank you. Then we have wonderful Gurupreet. Thank you. Your father and mother has come.
Marriage is here.
Good, good. Very nice. Thank you all very much. It's so nice to see you. Jubita, thank you.
Thank you, Guruji. I'm attending for the first time here.